Welcome to this week's options trading watch list. Before we get into the actual trades that I'm looking for the upcoming week, we're going to do a little overview of the market as a whole here just to get a better picture of where we can maybe see this market be going this week. So here we'll start off with the ES futures. We are firing this daily squeeze to that downside, which gave us this push here, breaking structure, closing below this 21 EMA. But price has been holding this 50 simple moving average here decently these last few days. So we'll be looking at this level as more support here on the market, and if it can bounce off these levels or fall farther off of those levels. Another key thing that I'm going to be watching here, not just this week, but probably the next few weeks, is this weekly time frame on the ES. We're starting to form this new low compression squeeze, and price did hold this 21 EMA. We can see that last time price came down to this level, it consolidated here for a second before making another push to that upside. And we could potentially see that here again. We could get this consolidation period around this 21 EMA before seeing another bullish run here to that upside. So definitely keep your eye on the ES weekly time frame and make sure that this level holds strong on the market, and if it does, we could see further upside. If it doesn't, we could see further downside. So definitely keep your eyes on those levels. Going on to the Qs here, which are opening up kind of flat, only up about 0.1%. We can see that they also are a similar story to the ES. Daily squeeze firing to the downside, holding that 50 simple moving average here. So far, we'll see once again this week if this level can hold and we get a bounce or reversion back up to this mean, or if we see some more selling to this downside. Definitely keep your eye on that level on the NQ as well. Next one here is the Dow. They're up about 0.5% here. Um, as markets opened, you can see that we have got this push off of that -3 ATR level, looking to kind of come touch this 8 EMA here, and we can see if that will be a place of resistance and if we potentially get more selling. One thing I do like here about the YM is that we are getting our first yellow bar on the histogram, which means that all of this bearish momentum is potentially coming to a halt, and we could be making a reversal or at least consolidating here at these current levels. So definitely keep your eye on this histogram to see if it continues to start going to that upside, and hopefully price will accompany that as well to the upside. Last but not least here, going to be looking at the Russell here. This one has a lot of bearish momentum into it, pushing it way down here. And as I said in a lot of my other videos, we have fallen back into this previous range bound area here with resistance up at this top and support down at this bottom. It has come down and basically kissed that support here. It bounced up off of that support, fell back down to it, and now we are opening up here at about up 0.9%. We will see if this level can continue to hold as support and we get a bounce back up to potentially the upper end of this channel, which is resistance, or if this support does break, look for a lot more selling within the small caps. So this is kind of my overview of the market as a whole. And now we'll go into the individual stocks that I'm looking at for this week to potentially have some nice moves if we get the market to cooperate. So the first one I am looking at is Ford. So we can see that Ford is in a nice uptrend here from this year chart here. Had this great daily squeeze fire to the upside, gave it this great move, and we can see that we are now starting to form another one with our histogram above that zero line. Price has been respecting this 21, basically closed right at it here on Friday and held it over here as well. We'll be looking for this level to continue to hold, for it to start moving back up to the upside, getting to these previous all-time highs. I also like it that we have our stacked DMAs, and we are actually in a high compression squeeze, which means that when it does make a move, it should make a pretty violent move in one direction or another. So definitely keep your eye on forward. Next one I'm looking at here is Nvidia. I like Nvidia especially because if we look at the semiconductors, we can see that compared to the rest of the market, they've actually been holding it really well and have been very strong. And they're starting to form a new daily squeeze with price holding that 21 EMA very nicely here. So if the semiconductors can start to make a move, to that upside, I think Nvidia is just going to follow right along with them, and I think that is potentially what could happen. So this one also has been respecting that 21 EMA. This daily squeeze is starting to form with our histogram above that 0, and we have stacked DMAs and are in an acceleration stage, which is nice, and I think that we could potentially consolidate for a little longer as the squeeze forms, but definitely keep an eye on Nvidia and the semiconductors as a whole. Next stock I'm looking at here is Pepsi. We have this squeeze starting to look to slingshot to the upside due to we got our first yellow bar here on the histogram, which means that we are getting some bullish momentum back into this stock. And when the stock market was selling off the other day, this one was going to the upside, which is kind of nice to see that it wasn't following what the overall market was doing, and it recaptured that 21 EMA. Would ideally like this to come back down to that 21 EMA for an entry, so definitely keep your eye on that level, but I do like it due to the fact that we are gaining this momentum here on the squeeze, and we have stacked EMAs with price holding above now that 21 EMA. Thermo Fisher here is the next one. Once again, has a great uptrend on this one. And now this daily squeeze has some nice bullish momentum on the histogram. Our price is holding above the 21 EMA with stacked EMAs. This one, in my opinion, has the best structure out of all of them, and I think this one could easily go retest those previous high levels with that squeeze firing to the upside. So this could be an early week entry in this one as long as the market cooperates overall itself. Now, last but not least here is UMP. I had this one on my watch list last week, and its structure is still looking solid here. It did get a little scary. We saw this kind of sell off down here, but then it quickly regained that 21 EMA and has held above it now for 2 days. Ideally, I'm going to want to see some yellow bars start to form here on the histogram, but I think this week we could easily get that if we continue to hold above that 21 EMA. And then also with our stacked DMAs, everything about this one does look bullish. So those are the stocks that I'm looking at for the upcoming week. Hopefully they give you a better picture of some stocks that you could add to your watch list yourself. And let's go out there on Monday and start making some money, everybody.